Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and I'm excited to have a second time guest on Tactical Magic today. Terri Levine is a brilliant coach and business mentor. And if you want to tune back and listen to her first episode first, that's totally okay. But we've got some new magic coming from this brilliant mind today. So hang on for just a second and I'll introduce Terri. It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur. Terri Levine is the founder of the Figure Accelerator and the Heartrepreneur Cause, where she helps coaches and consultants create 6- and 7-figure businesses. She has been named the top female coach in the world. Over her tenure, she has received recognition from almost every major coaching organization and association worldwide. She's been mentoring businesses for over 3 decades and has helped over 6,100 business owners create the income they deserve, the impact they desire, and the time freedom they long for. Dr. Levine is also a best-selling author of dozens of titles, including her latest release, The Conversion Equation. As a keynote speaker, Terri has inspired hundreds of thousands of people through her high-content, memorable, and motivational speeches. Welcome to the show, Terri.
It's so good to be back, Molly. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, so happy to have you here again. So I want to just start for people who maybe didn't tune back into the first time. Tell us a little bit about your journey of entrepreneurship, how you reached where you're at now, but also just how you got into doing what you do.
Yeah, so initially I came out of college with a master's degree in speech language pathology. I knew nothing about business, sales, marketing. I knew speech pathology. And I opened up a clinic and I couldn't figure out I needed doctors to refer, how to get patients, how to get them to refer. And it took me a long time till I cracked the code. And when I did, I realized that code could be used in any business. So I sold that business a few years later, started a home art show business, sold that business, started a rehabilitation business, sold that business, and then spent 5 miserable years as CEO of a national healthcare organization where I did not fit. I am not meant to work in corporate. It was really clear. And so about 31 years ago, I said, adios. I walked out and I started my coaching and consulting business. And I've been doing what I love, loving what I do for the past 31 years already, Molly.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. So fun. So tell us a little bit about that code that you cracked and how it works.
So here's what I was thinking I needed to do. I thought to buy every sales course I could, learn every marketing thing I could. So I spent money. I got all of these people that I was learning from, pretty famous names in sales and marketing, and they were teaching me closes and pitches. And while I was able to get a lot of patients that way, because initially it was patients, I never felt ethical. In fact, I felt like I had to take a shower every single time. And one day I took everything that I had learned, everything I invested in, I went to a dumpster and I got rid of everything. And I said, if I just am here and fully present and wake up every morning and say, I need to transform at least one life deeply, and all I do is focus my day on that, then I'll have a successful business. And so when I started this business doing just that, I had 30 clients in 30 days with zero marketing. Still to this day, we really don't do marketing. We don't do ads. We don't do all the traditional things people are doing. And we have people come to us and raise their hands and jump into our program. So what you really need to learn is how to do heart-to-heart, deep dive breakthroughs where you, no matter what business you're in, listen with your heart and you learn to create a breakthrough for someone, which is a conversation they'll never forget. And a lot of those people will hire you and a lot of those people won't. You'll just get better at being a giver. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It's just a totally different way of looking at business than that old standard closing a sale. Yeah, I hate even using those words feels just gross.
I feel the same.
It's sort of negating the fact that you're talking to a person on the other end of the line and that person has deep feelings and needs and desires. And rather than connecting with that, we're looking at them as a number or a possible sale. Yeah. So I just love that stance, that viewpoint that we can come to, especially as, more mindful, spiritual entrepreneurs, that there is a different way to do it. And there is a different way to do it successfully and do it well, so that you're really connecting to the people that you're hoping to sell things to still. But you're doing it from a place of, is this an alignment for them or not? Is this something that will actually serve them? And if it is, being willing to stay in that conversation long enough that you get to that point and that they understand it, maybe even before you truly know that it's the right thing for them.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that. When I do a breakthrough session, so often the person has a breakthrough and they're like, oh my God, this was amazing. This is the best conversation I ever had. And I don't have to say a word. They say, can I work with you? You said very often that happens. And I'm so not attached. If at the end, if they have a breakthrough and I say, do you want to have more breakthroughs? And they say, no, this was good. I say, no problem. Who do you know that you'd like to give this gift to so we can pass this gift on to someone else? Who would that be? Let me get that person's information. And so every single day, all I'm doing is finding one person, transforming one person's life little by little. Hey, it's 6,100 people now. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it can work for every single person. The problem that I see, Molly, is most people don't do deep dive breakthroughs. They're doing complimentaries, demos, and they're really sales pitches in disguise, hoping to, quote, get a client. So I want to disrupt how people do business instead of transactional, truly being those transformational folks that we're here to serve and that we're here to help.
Yeah. So I know there's some people that will go further down that end of that spectrum and just coach and coach and coach and never ask for money or never invite people to work with them. So what's sort of the antidote to that tendency?
So I have a really hard, firm rule about this, and I say it with a lot of love: no free coaching. You don't open a restaurant and say to your friends and family, hey, everybody just eat here as often as you want. It's free. You don't open a grocery store and say to your neighbors, come on in, it's free. And by the way, I wouldn't go to any professional who was doing free services. If you're the brand new eye doctor in town or dentist and you're like, hey, I'm really not sure what I'm doing, so I don't ask anybody to pay, I'd go somewhere else. So the first thing you need to understand is that being in business, money is an energy exchange. Mm-hmm. And unless you are feeding yourself and your family consistently with the income you need every single month, it is not time to do any pro bono work. I do a lot of pro bono work in groups, serving hundreds of thousands of people every single year. However, to be a client of mine, you need to invest. And so I think that's a really important point. And many spiritual folks ignore that. And then they have to live in lack and they're really not making the difference that they want to make. So it's kind of like a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah. A vicious cycle for sure. So clarify this for me. It's not when you invite people to one of these breakthrough sessions, it's a paid session and they just buy a one-off session. And then if they want to keep working.
No, that's a great question. So here's how a breakthrough works. If you're newer in business, I want you to pick up the phone. Yeah, no hiding behind computers and social media and email. It's a telephone. You have one. Pick up the phone and call every single person you know. Don't look for a niche or whatever. Just pick up the phone and say, hey, Molly, I just started my coaching business. I am so excited. I can help people transform literally in 2 hours, whether it's health, relationships, business. And I decided to give you that gift. I have nothing to sell, nothing to offer. Then spend 2 hours with that person with zero agenda. Have them have a breakthrough because that's what you're great at. And you'd probably rather show up every day and do that than go do a bunch of marketing and posting all over social media. And at the end, just extend your hand very simply. Would you like to continue to have more breakthroughs? Yes, I would. Tell them how you work. No, I wouldn't. No worries. Who do you know right now that we can give this gift to? Very simple. And if you don't have a lot of clients right now, do 1 or 2 a day. I have a client who started with me brand new 4 weeks ago. He's done 12 of these. He has 5 clients right now at $5,000 a piece. I have another client who was pretty booked and wanted to get 4 people into a group program that she has. And she only had to do 6 breakthroughs and got 4 people in. So breakthroughs are what we give away, not free coaching and consulting. A breakthrough is not coaching and consulting. You really need to learn how to do this.
Okay. Gotcha. So there's a difference there. So you're giving away 3 free breakthroughs, but not free coaching. Awesome.
Glad you got that distinction in there. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And that sounds like some pretty beautiful success stories of people who are trying that tactic. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love sharing.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that you're sharing and putting out into the world right now is the 6 figures in 6 months, or the 6-figure accelerator. Would you tell us a little bit about that and how that works?
Yeah. So here's what happened over the past 3 to 5 years. My team kept telling me that coaches and consultants and healers and health and wellness people were constantly saying, can I just access like all of Terri's stuff? And like, does she have templates that I can just follow and be as successful as she is? And so we spent about 14 months dissecting my entire 31-year journey, all my assets, and taking my top clients who are earning high 6 and 7 figures and saying, what are you using of mine? And then we dissected all of that. It's my life's work. And we put it together in the program called the 6-Figure Accelerator, where you literally get my entire life's work step by step. So it'll say, do this first. And here's mine. Just take my name out, drop your company name in. Here's my best emails, my best joint venture letters. Here's my exact webinar template. We typically do 300,000 a month just on our webinar. So we give people the step by step. We hand it to them, along with a guarantee that as long as they implement, because I have never had a student who implements fail, and 6,100 students, that we guarantee 6 figures in 6 months. It's a very short program. It only takes 9 weeks. You don't need to spend a lot of time, and I give it to you for a year. So do it on your own pace, from the beach, wherever you want to do it from. And I guide you and I support you. And I'm excited to give it away. It's really my life's work, all in. Awesome. And it's all at truly the lowest investment in all 31 years in my industry. I'm just trying to give it away and get it in as many people's hands to help.
Fantastic. I mean, for one thing, 31 years of experience and having things actually work is extraordinary. And to go ahead and reverse engineer the parts of your business that really made that possible. And then even, like you said, asking the clients who have used your services and have had it work, which parts of that were working for them. It just sounds like a really intentional and well-designed program to be sharing with people. So if you're already ready to end this episode and go find your way over to there, we will give you the link to that in the show notes of this episode so you can go check it out. Terri also has a beautiful podcast and has lots of amazing resources out there to dive into to make sure that, energetically you feel aligned. Hopefully people listening are already like leaning way in because you have lots of stuff to share. Would you tell us a little bit about your journey as an author? I've just published a book in January and got it on the bestseller, Amazon bestseller, whatever made that happen. And I'm about to publish another one that I'm not going to do a big launch for because it's just a novel that I wrote when I was younger and wanted to get off the shelf. But what's it been like for you? And what advice do you have for anybody out there who's writing a book or know they have a book inside them or want to do that really in the smart way?
I love it. So I believe every single person on the planet has at least one book in them. And I don't believe that writing a book is essential to your business. However, if you have that desire to write, my goodness, right, because that's how we transform more lives and impact more people. My book story is a little bizarre. When I first started, I was teaching and doing seminars called Work Yourself Happy, and it was how to find your passion like I had and make a business from it. And I was doing an event, and there was a gentleman in the front row, and he was just nodding his head. Everything that I said, he was like loving it. And on the very first break, he came up and he said, is anyone publishing this? And I'm like, my seminar? He's like, this is a book. And he handed me a card and said, call me Monday. And this was on a Friday. So I got home and I looked at his card, and sure enough, he was a publisher. I called him Monday. We met Monday. We had a cup of coffee together. I signed a contract with him Tuesday, which I just couldn't believe. Like, now I'm going to be a published author. That first book just propelled me into something completely different. Up until that point, my keynotes, I was paid $5,000. From that point on, my keynotes were $25,000. That book just was a game changer. In fact, I remember I was doing a book signing at Barnes and Noble. And I heard on the intercom right before I was starting that there was an author there signing books. I love to have books signed. So I went running to the desk and I said, "Oh, where's the author?" And the woman looked at me like I was crazy. She said, "It's you." So it was so bizarre, like, oh, I'm an author now. And then I love to write, so I couldn't stop writing. I had a couple of published deals with this guy. And then I was published by Simon & Schuster and published by Wiley. And then recently I wrote a book called The Conversion Equation, which is probably my pinnacle book. I love writing. So if you love writing, books are a great way to get your message out there. And you don't have to be published by a big publishing house anymore. You can go to Amazon, do Create Space. Nobody really cares. And that's the beauty of it. You can write a book, get it on Amazon, and even make it a bestseller. And for those of you who are in business, it leads more credibility. The last thing I want to say is what's interesting to me, a lot of people reach out to me after they read my books, and they will say things like, "I felt aligned. Your words spoke to me. I could tell you were highly conscious." So my last piece of advice is be yourself. I am my same quirky, spiritual, silly self, and I let people see who I am in all of my books.
Yeah, that's super important. And it's just more compelling to read a book where you feel like this is a human being who's sharing their story.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. And I love that. Well, for one thing, getting that first book out there changed what somebody is going to pay you for the same talk, same keynote speech, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, amazing. So just the amount of credibility that gets created. I mean, I come from like almost everyone in my mom's side of the family has published something. At some point, all of her siblings are published authors. So becoming a published author didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But at the same time, when I would meet people at networking events or meet people at business conferences, knowing that they were a published author, I would just immediately see them differently. And I noticed that long before I finished writing the book that I just published. But there's something about that. There's something about that big of a project that you let out into the world, and that you, whether self-publishing or traditional publishing route, that it is now something in print that someone can go and get. There's just something about that has like a not just professional quality to it, but like a accomplishment aspect that is definitely worth doing. Will you tell us a little bit about the conversion equation and what that's about?
Yeah, so I was actually so excited about this book, and I still am. It came out about a year ago, and I'm still buzzing about it, because I actually developed this formula on how to get people to pay attention to your message, whether it's email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an ad, whether it's a text, it's social media post, it doesn't matter. And I call it the conversion equation. It's got 4 very simple parts. And the first part is that you literally have to capture the interest of your audience. So the first thing you have to do is interrupt. That's step 1, interrupt your audience. They're busy, they're not paying attention, their brain's in downtime, you've got to get their attention. The second thing is, once you get them interested and you get them paying attention and you've interrupted them, you have to engage them. Otherwise, they go right back into downtime. You have to keep them engaged. Then the third thing is educate them. And then the fourth thing is, finally, you can make a no or low risk offer. So in the book, I not only teach the conversion equation, I have clients give their whole case studies of how they used it in all different kinds of businesses. So you can vicariously go, oh, Abigail is very similar to me. I'm going to follow what she did. No, Ruth over here is more similar. I'm going to follow what Ruth did. And I give you a marketing plan. I give you the formula. I give you tons of examples. And the book is about application and implementation. So by the time you're done, you know the formula and you're using it. And it's a huge game changer.
Awesome. I love it. I'll be definitely looking up that book. Although, I talk a lot about copywriting and how to do that in compelling ways. I'm always down to learn more and see how other people are doing it. Would you share with us a little bit about, your own creative process or your own journey to learning all of this stuff? How much did you mentioned that you took all the business training programs and stuff, like how much have you used mentorship or other people's guidance to get where you are now?
It's an important question. So when I first started as a speech pathologist, I didn't have a clue. I mean, I came out of college and nobody taught me anything about business. So I got a loan and I actually hired Zig Ziglar as my first mentor. I understood the power of investing in people who've been there before you. And I have had mentors I've been in business 43 years, and I've had mentors for 43 years, coaches and consultants that I pay. Not counting college, bachelor's, master's, PhD, counting investing in coaching, training, seminars, consulting, spent over $1 million. And you may think that's a bit crazy. However, I'll tell you at a mastermind that I belong to, it's a $100,000 mastermind. I got one idea at that mastermind a couple of years ago, one little tiny idea that put an extra $1 million in my business the next year. So would you give me $100,000 if I would give you $1 million? The answer was, yeah, I'll invest in that every year. Don't go it alone. And I believe that I have been so ridiculously successful because I understand that mentors have mentors. And the last thing I have to say about this, when someone doesn't want to invest in their own anything, let's say that you believe in fitness and you don't have your own fitness coach, I wouldn't hire you. Let's say that you believe in having a great nutritionist and you don't hire one, I wouldn't hire you. If you believe that you're a great coach, consultant, mentor, whatever it is, my first question is, and who's yours? Who do you hire? Clients are the mirror. They're going to do what you do. So I just wanted to put that loving reminder out there as well.
Totally. Very important. Yeah. And just the willingness to invest in yourself. I know some people say you can't charge more than you pay for that kind of service. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that you can charge whatever you think your services are worth, but your willingness to invest in your own growth and your own sustaining growth, to be willing to continue learning, to continue pushing yourself to evolve, to be held accountable to that growth is a sign of, that you're willing to take the same stand for your journey as you're asking your clients to do. And it doesn't have to look exactly the same, but yeah, I think that's really important.
People ask me a lot, well, why would you have 8 different coaches? Well, I have different things. I have a business one that is doing billions with a giant B. So I'm definitely not there. And I like to learn from people ahead of me. I have a relationship coach. I have a health coach. I have a fitness coach. I have a humor coach. I could go on and on. I am a continuous learner. I work on myself every single day. And I believe that I am on this planet to make a difference. And if I transform myself, then I can get better at transforming other people's lives. So that's just my belief.
Absolutely. And just the willingness to continue doing that work on you so that you can show up powerfully and do the work you want to do in the world. Tell me what you get out of the humor coach.
It's so funny. I never saw myself as funny. Like my husband is really funny. He comes up with like one-liners. He's really fast. I'm not that quick. I'll drive in my car and 2 hours later go, oh, I could have said this. That would have been funny, right? So I hired a humor coach, and it was really just to lighten up my life overall. It wasn't to be a comedian or anything like that. And about 3 months after working with him, I was talking to a client one day, and at the end of this conversation, the client said, one of the many reasons I love working with you is you're so naturally funny. And I went, what? So I don't know if I have gotten better at humor or what. I definitely have lightened up as a result of adding humor to my day-to-day. Something happens now, I don't get all crazy about it. A few minutes ago, my computer wouldn't remember my password, and every time I went to get in, it said wrong password, which it wasn't. Years ago, I could have gone into a big panic, right? I just was having fun with the computer, and I was talking to it going, don't you know me? Don't you remember? I was just like laughing, and then I'll restart, and then it started perfectly. So having that for me has been really important.
That's, a totally different way to be in the world, to let things be funny and humorous instead of hard and sticky. I also just want to bust another myth, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are probably solopreneurs and trying to go big on their own right now. So there's one is investing in coaching, investing in mentorship, investing in guidance. And another side of investing in ourselves as business owners is investing in support. So how early on did you get people on your team, and how has that increased as you've grown?
Brilliant question. I knew that had to start with the end in mind. Years ago, I co-authored a book with Stephen Covey, and Stephen Covey said, start with the end in mind. Most people open a business, and I'm going to call it a business, not a company, with no end in mind. So they're just trading time for money. They don't have a legacy. They have no way of retiring. They have nothing to pass on to their family, and they're not building a wealth dynasty. So technically, they have nothing. If they get sick, no money comes in. They're trading time for money. And really what that is, that's called a job. And that's all you've done is you've traded someone else paying you to now paying yourself, hopefully. I help people create companies. A company means you sit in the CEO chair and from day one, you have an end in mind. So from day one, I brought on a virtual assistant and I bartered with her. She wanted to start a virtual consulting company. And I said, I'll help you grow one, which I have. She has a tremendously successful one. And I said, and in exchange for that, I need 20 hours a week of virtual assistant work. So for 5 years, we did that until her business grew so big, she couldn't work for me free anymore. And by that time, I had plenty of money rolling in. It didn't matter. And then I brought on in year 2, I brought on and trained teams of coaches and consultants, understanding I was building a company. So at the current time, I have different virtual assistants that do different things. I have some that are billing for clients, some that are client support, some that handle emails and Keep and Infusionsoft, some that handle my landing pages, some that handle social media. So I have many, many people in that area. I have folks that handle my YouTube and different things like that. So right now I have a company. I work about 21 hours a month and the money comes in and we make a huge difference to people's lives. Because we're making a difference to people's lives, people value us and they invest in themselves through our company. So that's what I recommend. And if you say I can't afford it, go barter. It's what I did in the beginning. People will barter with you.
Yeah, they will. And you can start with a small amount of hours a month, like even 20 hours a week.
Exactly.
Might be more than you need right now while you're figuring out what all the pieces of the puzzle are. And then as that helps you bring in more income, it becomes easier to hire the next person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Super valuable. And I think, not just starting with the end in mind, but looking at if I want to have the reach that I say I want to have, how does this business need to change? And am I willing to get out of the way of it growing to that level by admitting that I could do more with more support, whether that be mentorship or backup.
And your time needs to be spent in your area of brilliance, right? Me posting all over social media is not the best use of my time. It's not my area of brilliance. I'm brilliant at helping clients. And frankly, that's all I want to do, help clients. And I love to write. So that's what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. Other people are brilliant at other things. I don't know the first clue about putting my podcast together. I know how to record what I record. That's it. Put it in a Google Drive folder and wow, the Modern Coaching Method podcast comes out and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
So get support, get help. This is not a go it alone, and it's a very lonely place to be as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely. And collaboration is a big part of that. Can I ask how much like joint venture affiliate stuff do you do with your business?
We do some, and I'll be very transparent. We don't do a ton because otherwise I become like promoting for so many other people's things that my message gets diluted and my clients are confused.
Yeah.
So when I find people's programs or processes that I really like yours, as you know, I reach out my hand and say, can I share that? Because it's a really high value to my clients. So I look for things that are really high value, people that are aligned and kind of oscillating at the same frequency. And then I extend my hand and say, hey, do you want to do a JV? I probably say 90% more no's than I say yeses.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you have to be selective when you're playing at a big level anyway. And I'm grateful to be that kind of relationship with you. And for anybody listening, JV stands for joint venture. It basically just means you're creating a win-win situation of co-promotion with somebody else who serves a similar audience as you, or maybe does something that your people tend to need before they're ready for you or after they're done working with you. So we try to create really wins all around, wins for the clients and wins for both of the people who are involved in the joint venture partnership. And there's a lot of different ways that can look, and we won't get into it right now. But yeah, so you're a wild inspiration. I'm so grateful to have gotten to have this conversation with you. I think anybody who's listening out there You don't have to have claimed yet that you want 6 figures in your life. I know that can seem like a big leap for some people, depending on where you're at right now, but it is so okay to claim that you know you want greater for yourself in your life and your business. And probably over the course of the last 29 or so minutes, you've heard the expertise of Terri Levine and know that she probably has some amazing services that could support you in growing your business, and not just to make more money, but to reach more people, because you haven't been gifted with this skill set or this desire to be a support system for other human beings by accident. You've been tapped on the shoulder and you've been guided to learn your modality, and you've been led to this entrepreneurship journey for a reason, for the purpose of making a change, of shifting the paradigm, of supporting the world to become a more conscious and holistic and connected place. And so do whatever the hell it takes to get where you're going, so that your people can find you, so that they can receive what they need, and so that, that connection can be created on this planet. So thank you, Terri. Thank you for sharing your magic. Thank you for walking the journey and for showing so many people how to do what it is that you do in such a heart connected way.
Thanks, Molly. I appreciate you and the value that you bring, and always honored to play with you.
Yeah. Awesome. And thank you everyone out there for listening. Again, we'll put the link in the show notes to Terri's Figure Accelerator, and definitely go check her out. And her podcast is awesome too. And we'll catch you next week for another episode of Tactical Magic. Whatever happens, keep asking big questions and taking bold action, because you're here for a reason.